Have you ever felt a sadness that didn't seem entirely your own? A quiet melancholy settling in your heart on a gray, rainy day, deeper than just the weather? Or a pang of grief when reading about a distant environmental loss, a melting glacier, a burning forest, that felt strangely personal, visceral? We often try to trace these feelings back to our own lives, our personal histories. But what if some currents of emotion run deeper? What if the sky's mood, the earth's wounds, don't just happen out there, but also resonate in here? This reflection explores a quiet possibility that our hearts can be sensitive instruments, feeling the subtle sorrows of the world, that empathy isn't just between humans, but between humans and the living planet, that the Earth's pain might find a voice, a channel, through our own quiet awareness. If this resonates with a hidden feeling you've sometimes known, perhaps linger here. Let's explore the tender landscape where inner and outer worlds meet in shared sorrow and potential healing. Find a comfortable position. Let your body settle. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Turn your attention to your breath, that quiet anchor in the present moment. Feel the gentle rise and fall. Now, bring to mind an image of rain, perhaps a soft drizzle blurring a window pane, or a steady downpour soaking the earth, or even just the sound of rain falling on a roof. Feel the atmosphere it creates, the coolness, the quietness, the sense of the world turning inward. Let yourself connect with any subtle feeling this image evokes. It might be peace, melancholy, nostalgia, or simply a quiet neutrality. Don't judge the feeling, just allow it to be present. Now, gently expand your awareness. Imagine this rain falling not just outside your window, but across landscapes near and far. Falling on forests, fields, mountains, oceans. Falling on parched earth, perhaps bringing relief. Falling on polluted rivers, perhaps carrying toxins further. Falling on melting ice, perhaps accelerating the loss. Feel the vastness of this shared experience of rain, of the sky releasing its burden. Can you sense a connection between the quiet feeling within you and the mood of the sky, the state of the earth? Allow the possibility that the boundary is permeable, that the subtle sadness you might feel isn't isolated, but part of a larger current. Like the rain soaking into the ground, perhaps the world's condition seeps into our awareness, into our hearts. In this opening silence, simply hold space for this connection. Acknowledge the quiet resonance between your inner world and the outer world. The sky is overcast. Perhaps a part of you feels that too. The earth carries wounds. Perhaps your heart feels a subtle echo. There's no need to understand it fully, just to be open to the feeling of shared being, shared vulnerability, shared atmosphere. Recognizing this potential connection, this shared sorrow, can be deeply unsettling. It brings attention. On one hand, there's the profound intimacy of feeling connected to the Earth's state. On the other, there's the sheer scale of the perceived pain, climate change, extinction, pollution, injustice. Feeling this connection can feel like opening a floodgate to overwhelming grief, despair, and helplessness. How can one heart possibly hold the sorrow of a world? The natural instinct might be to shut down, to numb ourselves, to build thicker walls against this influx of planetary pain. We might distract ourselves with busyness, entertainment, or intellectual analysis, avoiding the direct, felt sense of empathy. We might dismiss these feelings as overly sensitive, sentimental, or simply our own personal issues projected outward. This denial creates its own tension, a disconnect between what our hearts might be sensing and what our minds allow us to acknowledge. There's also the tension of responsibility. If we truly feel the Earth's pain, does it obligate us to act in ways that feel impossible? The weight of needing to fix the vast, complex problems can be crushing, leading to burnout or a sense of futility. We might feel paralyzed, caught between the depth of our empathy and the perceived inadequacy of our individual actions. Furthermore, this shared sorrow can feel isolating if not understood or shared. In a culture that often prioritizes positivity and individual achievement, acknowledging deep ecological grief or climate anxiety can feel alienating. We might feel alone in our sensitivity, misunderstood by those who seem unaffected. The tension lies in navigating this delicate space. How to stay open to the profound connection with the earth without being drowned by the sorrow. How to transform the overwhelm into compassionate action rather than paralysis or denial. How to honor the earth weeping through us without losing ourselves in the tears. It's the struggle to hold both the immense beauty and the immense suffering of the world in our awareness, to find a way to be present with it all without breaking. There was a woman of Savatthi named Patācārā, the daughter of a wealthy merchant. She fell in love with one of her father's servants and eloped with him to a remote village. When she became pregnant with her first child, she wished to return to her parents' home for the birth, as was customary. Her husband was reluctant, fearing her parents' wrath. She started the journey alone, and he eventually followed. Labor began on the road, and she gave birth. They turned back. The same happened when she was pregnant with her second child. Again, she started the journey. Her husband followed, carrying the older child, and she went into labor on the road. A terrible storm arose. Her husband went to cut some branches for a temporary shelter, but was bitten by a poisonous snake and died instantly. Patācārā spent the night in terror and agony, shielding her newborn and toddler from the storm. In the morning, she found her husband dead. Devastated, she continued her journey towards Savatthi. She came to the river Asuravati, which was swollen by the storm. Unable to carry both children across at once, she left the older child on the near bank and carried the newborn across, leaving him on the far bank while she returned for the older one. As she was midstream, a hawk swooped down and carried off the newborn, mistaking it for a piece of meat. Seeing this, Patācārā screamed in horror. The older child on the near bank, hearing her screams but not seeing the hawk, thought she was calling him and entered the turbulent river, where he was swept away and drowned. In a single day, she had lost her husband and both her children. Mad with grief, she stumbled towards Savatthi, tearing off her clothes, weeping and lamenting. She learned upon arrival that her parents' house had collapsed in the storm the previous night, killing both her parents and her brother. They were being cremated on a single pyre. Seeing the flames, Patācārā completely lost her sanity. Naked and disheveled, she wandered aimlessly, wailing, "My 2 sons are dead, my husband is dead on the path, my mother, father, and brother burn on one pyre." People threw stones at her and chased her away, calling her mad. Eventually, she wandered towards the Jetavana monastery where the Buddha was teaching. The Buddha saw her approaching and instructed his disciples to let her come near. He addressed her with compassion, "Sister, regain your mindfulness." Hearing the Buddha's calm and compassionate voice, a flicker of sanity returned. She became aware of her nakedness and crouched down in shame. A man threw her his outer cloak. The Buddha then spoke to her, explaining the nature of suffering and the endless cycle of birth and death. He said, "Patācārā, do not grieve. You weep thinking, 'My sons are dead, my husband is dead, my parents and brother are dead.' But throughout the long course of Sasra, the tears you have shed for the deaths of sons, husbands, parents, and brothers are more abundant than the waters in the 4 great oceans. Why are you heedless?" He taught her about impermanence and the path to liberation from suffering. Hearing the Dhamma, Patācārā's mind became clear. She attained stream entry, the first stage of enlightenment, and asked to be ordained. She later became an arahat, renowned for her mastery of the Vinaya, monastic discipline. Dhammapada, verse 113. Better it is to live one day seeing the rise and fall of things than to live 100 years without ever seeing the rise and fall of things. Dhammapada, chapter 8, Thousands, verse 113. Source: Dhammapada Commentary, Story 8. 12. Patācārā is bereft of all her family. Patācāra's story is one of almost unimaginable loss, a grief so profound it shattered her sanity. Her suffering was intensely personal, yet the Buddha's intervention didn't minimize or dismiss her pain. Instead, he gently guided her to see it within a vastly larger context, the context of samsara, the beginningless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, filled with universal suffering. The tears she shed were hers, yet they were also the tears shed by countless beings across countless lifetimes, tears more abundant than the oceans. This perspective didn't invalidate her grief, it universalized it. It shifted her from the isolating madness of purely personal loss to the shared reality of impermanence and suffering that touches all beings. This is where her healing began, not in denying the pain, but in understanding its nature and its universality. How does this illuminate the idea of the earth weeping through us? Like Patācārā, we might feel overwhelmed by the sorrow we perceive, the ecological grief, the climate anxiety, the pain of witnessing destruction. It can feel intensely personal, even paralyzing. The wisdom here isn't to deny or suppress this feeling, nor is it to drown in it. It's to recognize that this sorrow, while felt in our individual hearts, connects us to something larger. It's the echo of the Earth's own vulnerability, the shared experience of impermanence and suffering playing out on a planetary scale. The Buddha reminded Patācārā of her past tears to awaken her to the nature of reality. Perhaps feeling the Earth's sadness through our own hearts is a similar kind of awakening. It reminds us that we are not separate, that the planet's fate is intertwined with ours, that its wounds resonate within the collective consciousness. The tears, whether literal or metaphorical, are not just ours. They are the expression of a shared condition. Seeing the rise and fall of things, as the DhammaMirror verse suggests, is key. Patācārā awakened when she understood the impermanent nature of what she had lost. Similarly, acknowledging the Earth's suffering without being consumed by it requires seeing the larger cycles, the constant arising and passing away, the resilience alongside the vulnerability, the potential for healing and renewal even amidst loss. Our quiet heart space, when cultivated with mindfulness and compassion, can become like the Buddha's presence for Patācārā, a space where overwhelming sorrow can be held, acknowledged, and contextualized. It doesn't mean we don't feel the pain, but we are no longer lost in it. We become channels for a compassionate awareness that recognizes the shared weeping, transforming personal despair into a deep, motivating empathy, grounded in the understanding of interconnectedness and the universal nature of change. Return to your breath. Feel its steady rhythm, a constant presence amidst the flow of thoughts and feelings. Allow your awareness to rest gently in your heart space. Without searching for anything specific, simply be open to any subtle feelings present there. Perhaps there is a quiet ache, a tenderness, a sense of vulnerability, or even just stillness. Acknowledge whatever is present with kindness, without judgment. Now, gently bring to mind an image or feeling associated with the Earth's suffering that touches you. Perhaps melting ice, a drought-stricken land, polluted water, or the loss of a species. Hold this image or feeling softly in your awareness. Notice how it resonates in your body, in your heart. Don't force any emotion, but be willing to meet any sadness, grief, or empathy that arises. Breathe with this feeling. As you breathe in, acknowledge the pain, the vulnerability, both the Earth's and your own shared experience of it. As you breathe out, offer a silent breath of compassion, of gentle presence, of simply being with what is, without needing to fix it immediately. Imagine your heart space expanding slightly, becoming a quiet, safe container to hold this shared sorrow. It's not about taking on the entire weight of the world, but about allowing your natural empathy to connect you. Feel the shared vulnerability, the shared impermanence that links you to Patācārā, to all beings, to the planet itself. Recognize that this capacity to feel, to weep with the world, is not a weakness, but a sign of your deep connection, your inherent compassion. Rest in this awareness for a few moments, holding the sorrow gently, breathing compassion, feeling the connection, allowing the earth's quiet weeping to flow through you, met not with overwhelm, but with the steady presence of your mindful heart. When we allow ourselves to feel the earth's sorrow, not as an overwhelming burden, but as a current of shared vulnerability flowing through our hearts, what happens to our sense of separation? How does acknowledging this deep empathy, this quiet weeping, inform our path forward? Can holding the world's pain with compassion, rather than denial or despair, become a source of profound connection and wise action? Your sensitivity is a gift. Honor the feelings that connect you to our world. If this reflection offered solace or insight, please share it. Subscribe for more explorations of mindfulness, empathy, and our sacred relationship with the earth. May we learn to hold the world's heart and our own with gentle courage.